Well, welcome back to Bucket List Living with Brad Norwood. I'm your host, Brad Norwood. It's been a couple of weeks since we've had an episode, but I'm bringing one to you today that's going to hit your heart. This is an incredible story. If you will, it's a story of my past. For those of you that follow my story, you know that I taught in a juvenile detention center for 13 years as a general education teacher. And that's where I began my career. And that's where my passion for people really came to surface. And as I taught in that juvenile detention center, these were incarcerated youth. I always joke that I had, yes, a captive audience, but there were always kids that I wondered about. Whatever happened to them? Where are they now? Because you see, when I was teaching there, the only time I knew how they were doing was unfortunately if they came back through the door. Ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of weeks ago, through the power of LinkedIn, what an amazing tool, I have reconnected with our guest today. Mr. Jeffrey Nickerson is a life changing story that I cannot wait for him to share with us today. He now works for Tuggle Construction Management here in Fayetteville, Arkansas, as a project coordinator. Jeffrey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Brad. It's been an honor knowing you for so long. And just know that even when I was, what's that, 10 years ago? No, 14 years ago?
Uh huh.
14 years ago, I still remember your voice. I remember when you messaged me on LinkedIn, I was just like, what? No way. This is not Brad. I was like, a flood of memories just flew through my head. I was like, dang, I forgot about those moments. Here they are today. Here I am today, believing in those moments and hearing your voice again, just clear as day from 14, 15 years ago.
Well, I appreciate that. And for a little back history, those of you watching and listening, I was scrolling through LinkedIn and a suggested connection came up and I saw the name and I saw the face and I thought, it can't be. And so I sent Jeffrey the message. I said, Jeffrey, how are you doing? And his reply back was, you look so familiar. How do I know you? And I said, Jeffrey, you're going to remember me as Mr. Brad from JDC. And he said, oh, the memories. Oh, man, thanks for reaching out. And so we connected. We went and had lunch just a couple of weeks ago to get to see each other face to face again for the first time. But Jeffrey, I want to jump right into your story. I'm going to lead you into it a little bit because I remember this 14 years ago kid that was probably about 14 years old. We won't have to discuss your age at that point unless you want to. But you were about 14 or 15 years old when you and I very first connected. And I remember you being a young, much thinner, smaller man than you are now. My goodness, you've been on the weights. You look great, by the way. But you were this calm, demeanored kid that always had the potential. We could always see the potential in you, but had just a little bit of an attitude, just like any other teenager would, didn't you?
I had a horrible attitude.
And so tell us about you were new to Arkansas then too at the time. And so start us with your childhood story and how you came from Louisiana into Arkansas.
What's crazy is at church this Sunday, we had a guest speaker, Dominic Russo. He said something that stuck with me during the service. He was like, you break all the rules, not like break the law, not like break the 10 Commandments, because, can't do that, but break all of society's rules. You know, I grew up in Louisiana in a horrible spot in poverty. And, my mom was sick and my dad was always in prison on drugs. And it was just me and my little sister. And my mom would get so sick to where I would have to take care of my little sister, and like go out and steal for food and, just kind of like guide her, make sure she gets on the bus for school and just really raise her, and I grew like Dominic said, he said, you break all the rules because people think if you're in poverty, you're never going to have a financial, you're never going to be financially ahead, or your drug addict parents, you're always going to be in drugs or vice versa. But what he was meaning by break all the rules is God always has something else for you. You know, God has a destiny for you. But back to the story, I grew up fending for myself on the streets, taking care of my little sister. Um, and then my mom died at 7 years old. 7 years old. I was the one that found her dead, and I hid her away from my little sister, and we got split apart. She went with her biological dad. I actually came to Arkansas a long time ago and lived with my aunt for a few years. They had 5 children, and I was just the nephew, so it was hard at first. It was like, I didn't, to be honest, I didn't get to get treated the same, put it that way, but then I ended up getting kicked out of there and back to Houston, back to Louisiana with my grandma and lived with my grandma for a little while, then moved in with my uncle. When I moved in with my uncle, it was the first time in my life that I kind of had someone really, really care about me, really kind of take the time and focus on me. So it's the first time that's ever happened. So of course I bucked the system. I have a timer on my watch. I try to pray every hour on the hour. It's telling me to pray. But it's the first time I ever had any structure. So I bucked hard. Like I've
Yeah.
been doing what I want to do for since as far as I can remember. You're not gonna come in here and tell me, oh, your bedtime's at 9 or you have to do this and that. So I was rebellious. I rebelled against them really, really hard. Um, and then Hurricane Katrina came, you know. While I was with my uncle, I was still kind of doing what I want to do and running away and pretty much just being bad. I would be considered the bad kid, or the black sheep of the family, all that, all those little sayings. I was that person, But to be honest, I just felt like I had nothing. Like almost like I didn't have no mind. Like I really didn't care about anything, you know. Feel like my childhood was robbed and everything was just taken from me. Mom left me, my sister left me, dad would always come and then leave me again. So, I really struggled with abandonment issues and I really, really struggled with connecting with people, and not pushing them away. Because, I consider myself a runner. When
Yeah.
things get close, I take off. Oh, too personal for me. You're getting too close to me. Starting to feel something here. It's time to go. You know,
Because if you didn't leave first, they were going to leave you, right?
we're gonna leave me. Yep. And that's exactly how I lived my life until I was 20, 21, 22. You know, just running, running, running. But Hurricane Katrina happened and we came to Arkansas. I had an aunt that lived out here, stayed with her for a little while, then we decided to move back for a year, I think. I think it was a year. During that year, I kind of just went way south. You know, I started like actually like sneaking out the house, staying out to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and getting in before they even knew I was gone. And I started messing with drugs and well, I started messing with drugs way before, but I stopped when I went with my uncle, to be honest. But started messing with drugs and trying to, you know, do my own thing. I didn't want to live with him. I didn't want to have no structure. So I figured if I can do this on my own, if I can make my own money, I can live on my own. So moved, we come to Arkansas and to be honest, Arkansas is like a culture shock for me. Nothing's the same. I'm talking about I talk different, I look different, everything was it's just different. Arkansas is like I'm trying to explain. It's slow. That's the best way I can explain it. It's slow. Down in Louisiana, where I'm from, it's very fast paced. Like go, 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 go. Everything moves faster. Everything's faster. I remember this is when I realized this town is super slow. I remember one time I went to the mall and I thought I was going to go get these Jordans, and nobody in the store was talking. And then they finally was like, we won't get those until like 2 months or 3 months after they've been out. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But I moved to Arkansas and, really, I think my thought process was really fast. Like I'm in school, I started at George Junior High. I'm in George Junior High, and I was just kind of just staying back, looking at everything, trying to get everything in my head figured out or whatever. And I see all these kids and they have lots of money, and I'm just there like, you know, I need some of that money. I know what to do to get some of that money. So I started, going on the streets, just walking the streets of Springdale actually, and met up with the wrong people and started getting drugs and selling drugs, and then my uncle finally got tired of me, disobeying him for 3 years, not listening, he couldn't do anything with me. So he just pretty much just let me go, you know, just gave up on me. So, I thought at the time that's what I wanted. Wow, now I can do my own thing here, I thought that was great, so which that just kind of pushed me into the streets a lot harder because now I don't have nowhere to sleep. I don't have nowhere to go. So I started selling more drugs and not going to school, skipping school, and sleeping on friends' couch to couch, and ended up getting in trouble, going to JDC, meeting you. But
And you were in and out, and that was a cycle, Jeffrey, that a lot of people don't fully understand if they haven't been in the system or worked in the system, that it only takes really one time to get in trouble. And then once you're on and assigned that probation officer, any little thing you do can be a revocation of your probation, and you're
yeah,
coming back. And so I know that was a cycle that as a youth in your juvenile days, you were pretty heavily involved in it. I think, on my time there, I don't even know how many times you were in and out. I would say 6 to 10 as a ballpark. You might know for fact, but that was a
20.
cycle that was in and out, in and out, in and out, wasn't it?
Right. I stayed in there all the time and in and out, like you said. And but the crazy thing is, as soon as when I stepped my foot out that door, I was on a run again. You know,
Yeah.
what else was I gonna do here? I mean, like my friends' parents that also do drugs or I sell drugs to are the ones that's getting me out of this stuff. I mean, what? I mean, I felt like I had no choice here. I felt like it was like inevitable for me to just either go back or do something even worse. Like I didn't have anyone. I didn't have nowhere to sleep. I have my friend's mom and stuff coming to get me out of jail, and and I said she only knows me and doing it because I sell her drugs. So I mean, like I said, as soon as when I stepped foot out that door, I was on a run. The
Yeah.
very second, I knew I wasn't going to see my probation officer. You know, I knew I was gonna still sell drugs, still lie, still sleep on couches, and do whatever I had to do to survive. It's like I was in survival mode. During that time, I survive, 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 survive. That's how it was when I was going in and out of juvenile. I mean, which is sad, but it is what it is,
Yeah.
man.
Well, and like you said, the comforts of, as bad as it is, the comforts of CPOD were a welcoming place for you from time to time, right? Until it was time to get out and run and survive and survive and survive until you just pretty much got tired of it and then you came back, didn't you?
I literally would go to jail, and the first thought of my mind is, "Ooh, I get to catch up on sleep. I get meals and snacks here. I can actually try to focus on school now, and instead of ditching it." So that's a sad way to think. Like really, it's like almost the same with like a homeless person. I mean, I was homeless right there. I didn't have a home to go to. I didn't have
Yeah.
no one to talk to, or to tell my problems or anything like that. It was just me, you know, and go to jail just to. There's this one time I went to jail. I remember I was, you know, I was messing around, and I was at the dealer house, and he's freaking out. Someone just went to jail, and he's freaking out, and he's like, telling me like if it was me that he's gonna kill me or whatever, this and that, and I'm a kid. I mean, I can't even. If he was new to law or wasn't super high on his stuff, then he would know that I can't do nothing. I'm not the one that did anything, But I remember one time I was just fed up. I was just like, I've been like on the streets going crazy hard for like 5 days straight. Like I'm wearing the same clothes. My feet are itching because I have the same socks on. Like I smell. I literally went into Price Cutters and stole a lighter and got caught on purpose just to go to jail. That's crazy. I couldn't
Mm.
believe I did that. And what's funny is that time is like out of all the stuff I was doing, the breaking and enterings, the getting caught with drugs, and they'll just like let me out real fast. This lighter kept me in JDC for 90 days. Then after the 90 days, I went to the place called the Lord's Ranch. I go to the Lord's Ranch, and you know, first off, I was during this whole time, I never believed in God, never wanted to believe in God, you know, anything, God, I look at you like you're crazy, move around with that stuff. This isn't God over here. Like I tell you, this is me, Jeffrey. And I believed that, I felt that, you know, that was the truth. Like I did not live for God, didn't have a want to live for God. So I'm in this Christian like what do you call it, group home. They're making me go to church, and they're making me do these things, and they're praying, and the whole time I'm just bucking the system. Like I'm in this group home. I remember we have to have counseling, so I go to counseling. They prescribe me Adderall. So I started taking Adderall. I hate it. So I figured out a way. The thing is, your family could bring you like clothes and snacks and all this stuff from wherever your family when they come visit. I never had visitation, so no one ever brought me anything ever. So I was there the whole time, almost a year, and never didn't see anyone. So I remember figuring out a way to cheat my Adderall and sell it to these kids and to get all this nice stuff, to get all their stuff and stuff. I remember I would do this for like a few weeks at a time and have like 14 pills and go get pretty much everything that they have. And I remember getting caught, and I remember them going after, they've taken all my pills or whatever, going and telling them that I stole it, stole their clothes or stole their stuff. So now the staff's coming to me, you know, searching me and taking the stuff that, you know, really not mine, but mine's, taking it, taking it from me and giving it back to these kids. So I'm just like, whoa, that just, I flipped the switch right there. Now, instead of selling drugs, I'm beating him up and fighting every time I see him. We're in church, I'm fighting in church, and it was bad. I literally got out of there because I was so horrible. You know, they couldn't control me, and they're like, "You're just like messing up all the other kids by being here." And I mean, we can't. We just, it's not good because there's some kids that parents put them in there, and they pay
Hmm.
for the kids to go there. So and then there were kids like me, was court ordered, didn't have nowhere to go, and it's just horrible. So they literally kicked me out. They kicked me out. I think I was mm, close to 18, 16, 17, 17, maybe 18. But they kicked me out. It was an all year round little boys group home. So I get out, go to this little foster care thing, this other group home, Youth Bridge actually, in Centerton, go to Youth Bridge, and pretty much the same thing. It's just like a revolving door. I started selling drugs and stealing, and but this time I never got caught. I didn't get caught again. And about time I was 18 or so, I decided to start selling because I never sold like weed or anything. I sold other stuff, but decided that all right, these people are too crazy. I'm gonna slow down. It's going too much, and decided to start selling weed, and believe it or not, I get busted. I have delivery charges, and I'm just like, what? Seriously? Weed? Like all the other stuff? This is what I get caught for? I go to boot camp, you know, I get into boot camp, or
And you're
look,
an adult now. You're 18.
I'm 18. I don't get in trouble until I'm 19, and I get caught with deliveries of I have deliveries of weed, and I I'm pretty sure, yeah, I get probation. I don't even go to jail this time, actually. Go to jail, bond out, probation. All right, if you can finish probation, we're gonna drop your felony and you're gonna be okay. So I mean, I get out, I'm doing the same thing, but now I'm back to the other stuff because all right, got snitched out for selling weed, so I don't want to deal with that no more. So I go back to the other stuff. And
And
now
by other stuff, Jeffrey, explain to those who are just totally blind to the drug world, what exact drugs were you selling that time?
methamphetamines, cocaine,
Mm.
fentanyl, heroin, if we can get it here, pretty much everything you can almost think of. I remember what's crazy is you wouldn't believe the type of people that's on that stuff that's like successful, and it blows my mind. It blew my mind, but it's all pretty much all the hard stuff. The only thing I really didn't mess with too much was like pain pills or Xanax. That's mainly it. But anything, if I can get a quantity of anything, I can sell it.
Hmm.
Anything, literally. Like I was always good at selling stuff. Just it didn't even have to be drugs. It could just be something else. Anything. I was always good at selling stuff. So you know, I started back selling meth during this time when I got busted the second time selling meth. And I got snitched out. I got deliveries, but now I'm like selling meth and I'm doing cocaine. I didn't really tried meth, not my thing. So I'm selling meth and I'm on drugs too. So now I'm not even. My mind's just I'm just gone. So I'm riding around selling meth and riding around with guns and because I'm paranoid because I done so much stuff to other people that I don't know what could happen to me. Like rob people and stole from them and all that stuff. And I mean, I know people want me. If I go to a party or something, I always hear, hey. you're Jeffrey, such and such is talking bad about you, told me he's gonna shoot you when he sees you, and you're crazy or this and that, and like, and what's crazy is I kind of lived off that, like,
Hmm.
people knew, all right, you can't put nothing past Jeffrey, you can't mess him over. There's no telling what he's gonna do. You better pay because no telling what he's gonna do. It didn't matter if it was $10. Like I wanted my $10. It didn't matter. And like you're not paying me $10 now, I'm robbing your house. And it's not even worth it. So I always had that, like, I don't know, I don't even know. I had this like thing in the streets where, I was that really I was only like that because the drugs that I was doing,
Yeah.
cocaine, because before I remember thinking before I was even like actually out there like that, like I had like a heart, like I would, I had a heart. I was a little bit respectful. I love helping the elderly and, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. I always had that going for me. And I got on them drugs. That all went out the window. I mean, you're not yourself, even if you're already a messed up person, that just makes it 20 times worse, you know. But I ended up getting busted for meth and guns. I remember literally, I was in the car. I've been up for 3 days probably. I was in the car. This chick's driving to me. She driving to her house, and I had a whole bunch of money in my pocket. And I remember waking up in my car in her driveway, and money's not in my pocket. She and one another person, I used to give her drugs, and she'll pay me for whatever she done or whatever. But I remember not having no money in my pocket and me just flipping out. I popped my trunk, I had two guns, get them out, walk in there like, dude, where's my money? This and that, and I'm yelling, and screaming at her and her boyfriend, and her little girl walks out. So little girl walks out, and I'm just like, all right, well then I'm gonna leave because this little kid. I leave, she calls the cops on me while I'm leaving, and so driving, and then I see the cop coming, boom, turns around and pulls me over. I got two guns. Now that they're not in my trunk no more.
Mm.
They're on me. They used to be in my trunk, but they're on me. I have one like literally one like in my dash and one under my leg. And I'm just like, holy smokes. He pulls me over. I got a trunk full of drugs, pulls me over, and immediately he just, pulls out his gun on me and he's like, put your hands up, this and this and this. And, like he's shaking. What's crazy is he's just as scared as me.
Hmm.
This cop is terrified. It's not like, like you see in the movies where they're like fearless and they're just like, he is just as scared as me. I'm scared of going to jail. He's scared for his life right now, and it was crazy. It took me so long to actually, I played this back so many times, and it took it took so long for me to actually like understand that, so I remember seeing this guy shake and being like, don't shake, man. I got a gun, got a few guns, I one under my leg. How do you want to proceed with this? Put everything back in his hand. My hands are up. I mean, how do you want to proceed with this? I was like, even if you want to throw me your handcuffs and put them on myself, with my hands above, I will do that. However you want to proceed, because he's so
Nobody shoot here, right? Nobody's shooting.
a scary person. You don't know what a scary person will do.
Yeah.
You just don't know, and it's not because they want to do it. It's like, any sudden move, I could have died right there.
Hmm.
You know, I go to jail, I go to boot camp, and I get out. You know, I actually get all my gun charges dropped. By the grace of God, don't know how. They're like literally on my person, but the lawyer I had got all my gun charges dropped so I can go to boot camp. Go to boot camp, get out. you know, let me rewind a little bit. Before this, I used to do MMA. I used to, fight and train and all that stuff.
That's how you got so big on me.
No, it's not. I was still small. I was small still, but so I get to boot camp and this is a cakewalk. This is nothing. I'm like, seriously, this is a joke, you know. Um, I get out of boot camp, and what's crazy is, you think, oh, you've been in jail all this time, you haven't learned your lesson. No, the only thing I learned is how to get better at what I was doing.
Hmm.
Straight up. Whole time I was in boot camp, I wasn't thinking about not selling drugs. I was thinking about how to not get caught selling drugs, how to do it better, how to make more money, you know? And so you got to think about it, who you're surrounded by when you're in situations like that. You know, you're surrounded by everybody that's done better, doing better, has all the connects. So all you do all the whole time is I just network. It's like LinkedIn in there. You just work. Sad to say, but that's the truth. You network. You get out with more connections than you had. You get out, with with 15 people that's gotten out before you. That's been writing you and helping, and talking with you. You get out 15 of those people that's already doing it, been doing it for a year or something before you get out, and they're just gonna give you some stuff. Get on your feet, boom, package. You know, I don't need no money, just get on your feet, man. And we'll talk later. That type of stuff, and that's just how it is. So once again, I got out with a better understanding on how not to get caught. Give me 1 second. How you doing? On how not to get caught and how to do this way better. Hey, John, you need this? Right? So I got her. Just thing. I'm sorry. One more thing. Close this door. So I got her there just with the better knowledge, better understanding on how to do this better and be good at this and not go to jail. So I got out. I stayed out for, I think, until I was like 24. So like 6 years. I
Hmm.
never stopped selling drugs, not once. Never stopped anything. So I ended up getting snitched out again. So this time I have to go to prison. Well, boot camp, you go to prison, but then they ship you to this other little, it's not really prison. So this time I get caught, I have to go to prison. I go to prison and, you know, I, a lot of people already know who I am, knew who I was, and I actually got jumped into a gang in prison. So I get jumped into the gang and start to realize like, man, smarter than every single person in here. Like everyone that I'm messing with, I'm just like way smarter than them. I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just like just realizing like, like, oh my gosh, they're doing good, they're doing things, but you know, I did the exact same thing I did out here in there times 10. Had everything I wanted in there, cell phones, whatever. If I wanted to get a steak sent to me or a steak, I got it. I pretty much was running the jail. You know, I go to this program actually. In order for me to get out, I have to complete this program called SATP. It's a drug abuse program. It's 6 months or 9 months, and you have to. I'm trying to think of how to explain this, but you have to pretty much tell on each other, hold each other accountable for their actions, and which now that I'm thinking about it, it works. Helps you realize the habits that you have, and you've been held accountable on it. The whole time I'm in there 6 months. Nothing's changed. I'm just, going with the flow. They'll call me in their office like, Jeffrey, I know you're doing this. I know you're doing that. We just don't have proof. And one time they call me in there and they call me in there and they're like, we're just gonna kick you out. Like we know you're doing this, and I'm like, all right, whatever, I don't care. And then one of them, they're like, in order for you to get out of prison, you have to complete this program. Like, you straight up can't get out if you don't complete this program. So he said that, closed the door, sat down. At first, like, whatever, I don't have, this will just act like, maybe 9 more months to my sentence, and then I'll get out. And then I'm just like, wait, I've been in here 6 months. I have 3 more months left. And then I started thinking about my kids. I had a boy and a girl. I started thinking about them. Like, and then I just, kind of broke me down a little bit. And then, this is the first time I ever, in my whole entire life, was like stuck. I felt, well, I've been stuck, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to. There wasn't a way out. It was, right then. So the first time ever, I asked God, I was like, if you're real, help me get through this, and I will, serve you. And it was like he was like I was just violently shook, just like you see my hair be sticking up, like I was just violently shook, like it's like really, really hard. That's all I remember. I remember my eyes closed. I remember opening my eyes, and there's just tears running down my face, just tears and tears and tears. So they open up the door. They call me back in the office. And pretty much before they can say anything, I said, "Wait, I got something to tell you guys." And I told them everything. I told the truth. I told them that I don't want to get kicked out. That if they give me a chance and I could walk on the thinnest line possible, and they can kick me out, and I wouldn't, I'll just be kicked out. But if they gave me a chance, I'll prove to them that I'm gonna do better. That I believe in God now, pretty much. And at first, I don't know if they hear this a lot or hear any stories like this, but the thing is, they've never seen nothing like this from me. It's always been hardcore, just attitude, and never seen me. So send me out, and then they call me back in, tell me, all right, we're gonna give you another chance. And they gave me another chance. And before this, I was gang banging, selling drugs in prison, selling cell phones in prison, and doing all this stuff. So I called everybody. I had a hall. I was responsible for every person that was affiliated with me on this whole side of the prison. So I called the mass meeting, and like in the bathroom, and I was like, done. I laid down my rag and had all my drugs and all the cell phones that I had was supposed to sell, and I just like flushed it all down the toilet and broke the phones and got rid of all of it. And everyone's getting mad at me, talking, what about us? What about me? And it was, my reply was, what about your son? What about your daughter? Because, you know, you get out in a little bit. You get out in a little bit. You say you're gonna do this and this and this. I mean, I said the same thing. Oh, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna do best. I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna, sell drugs. I'm gonna stay out this time. How are you gonna stay out if you're doing the same thing in there? It doesn't make sense. It's insanity. We've been doing the same exact thing over and over and over again. It's leading to the same exact thing over and over and over again. Insane. You can't, so I made it my duty to live for God, and I'm not gonna lie to you. it's changed my life like completely. I still, everyone struggles, everyone has their problems, but I've been out going on what, 6 years now or something like that, and never once have I ever thought about a drug. Never once have I thought about a gun. Never once have I thought about anything. I accepted. I accept, you know, Jesus. I accept that His Son died on the cross for me, and I accept everything. I'm here. I'm for because of Him. And also, I heard this a while back. Is like Jesus built the devil built the wall, but didn't know that Rahab had a window in this wall. So sometimes Jesus will let the devil do all the work that he can in you, and he'll come in and he'll just make it all for the good for him. And I believe he done that with my life. Luke 15. I don't know if you guys know who Corey Asbury is, but he has a song where he's saying that he leaves the 99 to go find that one. And he comes back with that sheep on his shoulder, yelling to all of his neighbors, "Look, come rejoice with me. I found my one." I believe wholeheartedly that I am that one. I believe wholeheartedly that everyone is that one. You know, we all have faults. We all go through it, but you're the one. And another thing is like if there's any kids out there, begging for this, begging God for this, begging God, because when I first was new in my faith, because I didn't have as much faith and I didn't know better, I would beg for something. Please, God, let me get this position. Please, God, please, begging Him. You don't have to beg. That's your Father. You don't beg your Father. You just ask Him. He will give it to you. You know? That's the truth. You are already destined. And in the Bible, how many times he do you hear this? Did I not tell you already? God, he talks past tense because he's already given you, you know, everything that you want. It's up to you to believe and go out there and take it. It's already yours. It's already yours. He's giving it to you. You know, that's the truth. He loves you. You're his creation. He wants you to do good. Sometimes when you think, oh, some it's always here. Jeffrey's never gonna change. He's always gonna do the same thing. A kid's mom, oh my gosh, it's a broken record. Been trying to tell him to change. He's not gonna change. You know, I remember in the beginning I said break all the rules. I've broken all the rules.
Mm.
I've broken all of society's rules. I've been to prison. Had an addict as a parent. Was an addict myself for a little while. Uh, Not no more. I'm broken all the rules. I'm a rule breaker. Everyone needs to be a rule breaker for society. God chooses only a few, says it. He chooses a few. Who are we today? We need to be that few.
Yeah. The harvest is plentiful and the workers are few.
Mm-hmm.
Tells us that all the time. And what a man, Jeffrey, what a story you are. It's the second time now that I've heard it. And I can't thank you enough for having the courage and the passion that you have to share that story, because we tell people all the time that life is hard.
It
Life
is.
is hard. People struggle with addiction. People struggle with loss. People struggle with running away and adversity. And you have faced the epitome of all of that in your life and broke all the rules, good and bad. I mean, I can't even imagine you on your way out in your transition to this other side, if you will. I can't imagine, like, how much longer were you in prison after you laid down your flag and you told the guys, that's it, I'm done? How much longer were you still in there?
I think a year and a half to be exact, like maybe even a year and 9 months. But it was quite a while. And they'd look at me and look at me. like shake their heads at me. But, and even in today's world, when I see some of the guys that I was messing with, they're like, dang, Jeff, you don't mess with me no more. Dang, what happened? I thought we was close. We are close. I love you. I love you from a distance.
Mm,
I don't have to be, if you're doing the same thing, then, all I can do is pray for you. And all I can do is help you see something else, help you see, what God has given you, you know. Hopefully, hopefully you can change, but, you know, I can't like hang out with you. And, I mean, there's another story in the Bible where I'm pretty sure there's these guys holding this guy up in the air, and Jesus looks up at him and he's like, "You're forgiven for the faith of your buddies that's holding you up, not from the faith of you,
mm.
but from the faith of someone else." So if we have enough faith and we really believe that a person can change, and I believe it can happen. you know, it's just not the miracles didn't stop.
Yeah.
We just got to be the few and break all the rules to see them.
Amen. Amen. Well, and again, I'm so glad that you did. You go back however many years ago it's been now, 10, 12, 14 years plus, when you were that little skinny kid coming into CPOD for the very first time. That, like you said, looked quite differently than everyone else in Northwest Arkansas. You acted differently than everyone else in Northwest Arkansas, but there was always something about you that was different, Jeffrey. There was always something that was different. I'm so glad that you found it. You're living it out in your life each and every day. I know that you're compressed for time. You've taken your lunch break today to share with us. So I'm gonna wrap it up here, and let you go get a bite to eat for lunch. But again, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing this story. I do want to ask you, I got two more questions left for you. If you could go back and talk to that 14-year-old Jeffrey that was in CPOD with Mr. Brad and Coach Jeff and Mr. Mike, if you could talk to that Jeffrey, what advice would you give to him today?
You're not alone. That you know you've never been fatherless your whole entire life, even before you was even born. Always had a father that loved you. You know, that's mainly it. I would, just make them just slow down, slow
That's
down,
right.
think. Just slow down, just slow down. You don't have to outthink everybody. You don't have to try to. You don't have to think that you're abandoned and that no one cares about you, or depressed. You know, just try to show them God. And I mean, I went to that Lord Trench and they tried, but I wasn't too far gone. You know, I had a God had a bigger plan for me.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
He didn't let me. He's going to use everything I went through for His glory. I know it. I believe it wholeheartedly. You know.
He is and will continue to do so. And again, Jeffrey, I thank you for your time today. Man, I'm so glad we have reconnected. For anybody that's listening, normally on this show, we do give out contact information for our guests. And if you want to connect with Jeffrey, he is available on LinkedIn. I'll put his contact information for LinkedIn in the show notes. But if you have someone that would like to meet with Jeffrey personally, maybe you have someone that you would like for him to speak with, even if it's individually or a group, please reach out to me, Brad at dreamitpro.com, and I will get in touch with Jeffrey for you and we will schedule that. Jeffrey has the aspirations to be able to go back and talk to certain youth groups, church groups, and even the vision in the future of talking to corporate groups and to be able to tell his story. And so today we use this platform to kind of kick him off on that role to be able to start speaking publicly. We want to help him and continue to pour into his life all that we can. And so if you have interest in speaking with Jeffrey and having him come to your event and speak, or speak to someone that you dearly love that is just headed down the wrong path, please reach out to me. And again, I'll send Jeffrey's contact information for LinkedIn in the show notes. Jeffrey, before we go, I ask every guest on the show one final question before we end that deals with living the bucket list life. That the bucket list life is about leaving a legacy, and what we can do each and every day to fully live and experience God's glory as we live day to day, and not just hold our breath for what we call tomorrow. So I ask you today, Jeffrey, how are you challenging yourself today?
How am I challenging myself today? Challenging myself to try to be more God-like, challenging myself to not to have confidence and to touch every troubled kid out there that I can possibly touch. I go to church, I talk to the youth all the time. We have Wednesdays and talk to them, but I want to be able to touch millions of teens' lives with this story, because I know 100% that I'm going to, because like
Mm-hmm.
I said, God's already given it to me. It's up to me to go take it and change lives that way, because life is too short, and not only that, you guys should know that there's like probably like 8 billion people in this world, and there's probably like 2 billion people that's never even had the chance to hear the gospel.
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's crazy. I have to be a part of that some way, somehow. I have to be a part of that. I have to give someone the, tell these people the gospel, tell them my story, help them, because this is his story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This comes from a young man, ladies and gentlemen, that again walked into a juvenile detention center in a blue turned orange suit, that was a student of mine, that now today sits on a podcast, that in the first few minutes of a podcast interrupted himself to say, "I'm sorry about my watch. It is reminding me to pray." Jeffrey, I'm so proud of you. So proud of you, son. Keep doing the good work. Keep living the bucket list life. For those of you that have listened today, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, don't forget to hit subscribe to the button below. Hit the bell, get notifications when we go live and produce new content. And until next time, remember, the bucket list life is a life worth living. Have a great day.